Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Midday Live on TV3 with me, Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up within the next 1 hour. Explosion at oil depot leaves several injured in Asiedu-Dartey. Ghana marks the 16th anniversary of May 9 Accra Stadium disaster. We'll be bringing you how it was remembered. And with the influx of foreigners engaged in galamsey in the country, we'll be finding out from the Ghana Immigration Service how they intend to deal with the menace. Elsewhere around the world, the U.S. government has suspended funding of various health-related programs in Kenya. Here in Africa, we'll bring you details of all those stories, including business, sports, and entertainment. But we are starting the bulletin with that very unfortunate development in the western region, where an explosion at the Olam oil depot on the Asiedu-Dartey highway in the western region on Tuesday morning left several people injured, especially the workers who were there at the time. The injured are currently being attended to at the Kwanta Hospital. Olam oil depot is stationed between two filling stations, but directly bordered on by a Total filling station.
First and second degree burns, which I think we can handle here in the Kwanta, except that something else happened. At the moment, we called most of the doctors, the nursing staff. You can see the area for yourself. It's just that we have to mobilize a lot of fluids, a lot of painkillers, and also calm them down.
Okay, so as a hospital, are you well resourced to be able to handle events like this one?
Events like this, we have an emergency strategic plan, and we've had similar episodes, cholera outbreaks, food poisoning from schools, and this is a mass casualty. Luckily, the extent of injuries are such that we can handle them here. But in terms of resource, you never know the extent of mass casualties that will come. But for this one, we have enough resources locally to handle it.
Are you overwhelmed by it?
I wouldn't say I'm overwhelmed, because as a regional hospital, we should always be prepared for such incidents, and we should always be prepared to handle them. The numbers for now are not too much for us as a regional hospital to handle.
Is that the first time you're encountering such a situation?
Oh, gas explosion of this magnitude in recent times, I'll say yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And so we are told that those who were injured are receiving treatment. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the Chief Fire Officer who is in charge of the Western region, and he's joined us on the line. ACFO Obeng Dakwa has joined us. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, one has been referred, or the others are there.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Hello, yeah, I'm listening to you.
Good. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. What can you tell us about the current situation of the explosion?
Oh, it's extinguished. The fire has been extinguished long ago.
Are we able to tell what caused the explosion?
Oh, it's still under investigation, but I know Sanka was the fireman. I've seen one here. See, I'm busy. Here with this. It's.
Yes, we know you are busy, but just give us a few minutes of your time. We just want an update so viewers and people with family
members. The fire
members.
has been extinguished. Everybody is, those who were sent to the hospital, they are stable. The doctors are attending to them. They are stable, and there's nobody who died.
Okay. We're told some of your men were also injured. How bad is the situation with regard to the fire officers?
Again?
Your officers, we are told some of them were injured.
That's why they are responding to treatment. I'm even at the hospital and they are fine. They are all good. They are in good health. The doctors are attending to them.
All right. We'll definitely come back to you.
Some members of the general public, too, few of them were affected. I think those were around the place.
But can you give us a number of the total people who were injured?
No, I don't have it
don't
now,
know that.
unless I get from the doctors.
Okay. All right.
Firemen, I know the first few, about 5 or so.
All right. Thank you. We'll come back to you later on when you are less busy.
They are fine.
Okay.
Everything.
ACFO Obeng Dakwa Jamina is the Western Regional Chief Fire Officer, giving us an update on that situation. Clearly very busy, still at the fire scene, ensuring that some, they cleared the place for traffic to flow, because we're told that the police also cordoned off portions of the road. So, so far, the situation has been brought under control. In our subsequent bulletins, we'll update you because our reporters are there still. Let's go to some other stories kind of related to fire, but this time around it was in Accra a few weeks ago, you would recall. And chairman of the group Indum group of companies has spoken for the first time after fire gutted some portions of the Coconut Grove Regency Hotel. Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum revealed that the collapsed structure will not be renovated due to the plans to relocate the businesses that were affected to a permanent place.
The outbreak engulfed the GN Bank as well as the Business Television Africa station. Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum reiterated 2017 has been a tough year as his subsidiaries has faced several challenges. However, the business mogul emphasized the incident has not been a setback.
We had a business continuation plan. We also had and put in place a disaster recovery plan. So those things were there. So as soon as this thing happened, and even as we were counting our losses and trying to figure out what had happened and all of that, some other people were already putting these plans into action.
He said part of the hotel, which was engulfed by fire, will not be renovated.
All that we need to do now is to figure out what is it that we must do to have permanent places for the people who used to be here to go, because we're not going to build the thing back up. Okay, it's going to become a one-story building, and so it cannot accommodate all the people that used to be there.
He was, however, grateful for the confidence customers exhibited.
Throughout all of this, only one organization cancelled a booking. Only one. Everybody has kept faith with us, has come and done whatever they needed to do, and things have gone well. So we are very thankful.
Meanwhile, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum has donated an amount of $64,000 to 5 Catholic schools and churches to commemorate his 64th birthday.
Some very unfortunate news also came in earlier today. A scrap dealer believed to be in his mid-40s was on Monday afternoon gunned down by unidentified gunmen around the Tema oil refinery. According to the Community 1 District Police Commander, Superintendent Stephen Kwachi, the deceased was identified as Wahab Mohammed, and his brother Isahaku Suraj withdrew an unspecified amount of money from the Zenith Bank at industrial area, and on reaching the Tema oil refinery traffic light, they were attacked by 2 men on an unregistered motorbike armed with a pistol. He said in the process the suspect shot Wahab in the head and took away the unspecified amount of money. According to Superintendent Kwache, information they gathered shows that the deceased and his brother, who is now on admission at the Tema General Hospital, are scrap dealers. The body of the deceased has since been deposited at the Tema General Hospital for autopsy, while further investigations have commenced to arrest the suspects. And I would want to get an update on this shortly. Joining us on the phone line is the Tema Regional Police Public Relations Officer, ASP Joseph Benefo-Dakwa. Good afternoon, ASP. Thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, the line has dropped, but we will do well to get the Tema Regional Police PRO on the line to get an update on that, whether or not some arrests have been effected, and how they intend, or whether investigations have commenced, how far they've gone, what kind of information they have gathered. And this is not the first time that such information has come to our office. But when we do get him on the line, we'll pick his thoughts on what they intend to do about this particular development. This is still Midday Live, and you can visit our website because the details of this story is also there. The website is 3news.com, 3news.com, and do get updated on developments in and around the country. I'm told that we've been joined by ASP Benefo-Dakwa. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Right. What is the latest with regard to the scrap dealer who was shot dead yesterday? Have you been able to make any arrests?
Thank you very much. At about 1:30 a.m. On the 8th of May, police had a distress call from somebody that he was being attacked. So our patrol team moved in there. Now, the three policemen who were on board, when they arrived there, the story was that, according to the guy who called, he parked his car to go and buy something, and then on his return to his vehicle, he realized that somebody was in the vehicle. And so when he confronted him, now, the first person was joined by a second person, and they began assaulting him, and then so realizing that he couldn't do anything, he called police for police assistance. Now, when the person arrived there and the suspect saw the police, he took to his heels. Then the two policemen chased him and was able to arrest him. And in an attempt to handcuff him, they struggled. It was during this time that the suspect was able to overpower one of the policemen, took his rifle from him, and at that time, the second policeman who was standing by.
ASP, kindly speak up. Kindly speak up for me. And while you raise your voice, we want to find out. So, the suspect's brother, has he been able to give you any valuable information?
Yes, as I speak with you, the issues are the investigation. We are gathering all the evidence. We are investigating, talking to all those people. So I must say, for now, investigation is going on. So I'm just giving the story, the incident as to how it happened.
Okay. All right. This is not regular. This is not a regular occurrence in your jurisdiction, is it?
Come again?
Is it a regular occurrence where, armed robbery cases,
Oh, it's not a regular occurrence, but, once a while you have issues like this.
Okay. Thank you for your time and the update you've given us. ASP Joseph Benefo-Dakwa is the Head of Public Relations for the Tema Regional Police Command, with the update of the death of a scrap dealer who was shot, unfortunately, by some unknown gunmen yesterday. This is still TV3's Midday Live, and TV3 can authoritatively confirm that despite the ban on galamsey, some illegal miners are still in full business or full operation, while the police look on helplessly, unfortunately. Now, coming up is a video of the illegal miners close to the intake point of the Ghana Water Company, that's a water treatment plant at Daboase in the Western region. All right, so what you just saw on your screen is a footage we got from a citizen journalist who showed us an image of the Galamsey activity ongoing on the waterworks where the Ghana Water Company is positioned, the intake portion at Daboase, with the police officers standing helplessly or, well, giving commentary as to what was happening. But I would want to find out from Nanaya Berema Banya. He's the communications manager for the Ghana Water Company in the Western and Central region. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, sir.
Have you seen this particular video in question?
Yes, your reporter sent it to me. I watched just a little part of it. The network was not too good, so I couldn't watch the full video. But at least I could hear the sound of the machine, the champagne that is used by the Galamsey people. The people standing at the intake, and the sound of the machine also being heard at the background. But I couldn't watch the full video because of the lack of proper reception.
Right, but the men who were standing there, we also saw police officers there. What were they there for? And can you identify the men who were standing there? Are they workers of the Ghana Water Company?
I also couldn't identify them either. In fact, my production, the station manager for Daboase treatment plant came and told me that one man from Water Resources Commission came to see our regional chief manager, that he wanted to go to the intake, that's the dam side, to go and examine things there. So when they went there, they met the Galamsey people there. So my station manager told me that the people were indeed at the intake, very close to the intake where we abstract water for treatment.
All right, we'll talk about the nitty-gritties of the personnel and why they were there, including an officer who were not, taking any action to stop what was happening. But is that plant still running? Are you still processing water?
Yes, we are abstracting water for treatment at that plant. That is the main treatment plant in Asiedu-Dartey here that produces water for the metropolis. We have two treatment plants that supply water to Asiedu-Dartey metropolis. And the Daboase treatment plant is a major one because that one gives us about 5.5 million gallons of water at the peak period. That's when we have enough water to abstract. It gives us about 5.5 million gallons of water a day. But currently, because of the Galamsey problem and things, we are not able to produce up to that level yet now.
So what are you doing about it? Because that is like dirty brown water and you're still processing like you're saying. What actions are you taking in that regard, at least to stop them?
Oh, for Galamsey people, we cannot stop them. But this is not the first time. Before the ultimatum was given to them, they were always there. Whenever we went there to do something, we always saw them there. But we as Ghana Water people cannot stop them because these people, sometimes they wield weapons and things. So we can't stop them. We see them working, but there's no way we can go and ask them to stop. Even if we tell them to stop, they won't stop. In the first place, they won't do it. So there's no point trying to ask them to stop what they are doing.
All right. Hopefully we'll come back to you to see how you've been able to resolve this problem. Nanaya Berema Banya is the head of public relations for the Ghana Water Company in the Western and Central regions. And clearly, the issue of Galamsey seemed to have overwhelmed the entire country. Information we have is that if we do not stop it now, there's a likelihood we'll have to start importing water as a country. very, very serious. Information also reaching TV3 indicates that the Ghana Immigration Service is investigating the activities of a Chinese Galamsey kingpin for allegedly engaging in illegal mining at Bipotenting in the Amansie Central District of the Ashanti region. The group have been transferred to the Ghana Immigration Service headquarters in Accra for further investigations. And joining us in studio is a head of public relations of public affairs for the Ghana Immigration Service, Francis Pamdeti, to discuss this particular issue and see how far they've gone with this mysterious Chinese lady who seemed to have dominated discussions in the media in the last few days. Good afternoon, Mr. Pamdeti. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yes, to start with, can you confirm indeed whether investigations have commenced with regard to the woman and whether she's still in your grips?
Yes, I can confirm that.
She is with you?
Yes, please.
What kind of information is she giving you?
You know, the genesis of this all started when our officials in Obuasi were tipped off about some foreigners, as in some Chinese nationals, conducting galamsey in the bush. So they mobilized and went to the site, and it indeed was true that these activities were going on. So our officers arrested the 4 Chinese nationals and sent them to our regional office in Kumasi, and further sent them to Accra. So they're actually with us helping with investigations. We need to establish their status in the country, as in their visa, permit, regimes, etc. On their arrest, 2 of them had their passports. 2 others did not have their passports. They claimed the passports were missing. These stories you always see anytime you arrest irregular migrants or illegal immigrants. They always will give an excuse that they can't find their passports. We need to get those passports. We'll get to the bottom of that. With respect to she's called Nhuan, the lady also known as Aisha.
Aisha Nhuan.
She claimed to have engaged the services of these 4 to repair her equipment which she had rented out to some small-scale miner. Okay. And that's why they were here. But the facts we had observed or we had seen on the ground contradicts what she's saying. We need to investigate that. As we speak, she's on, we know her status. She's on what we call indefinite residence status.
Indefinite resident status, meaning she's literally a Ghanaian?
No, it doesn't mean that.
Meaning what?
It's a status given to a foreigner who intends to stay in Ghana permanently. Okay. Now, she's married to a Ghanaian and has been on resident permit for quite some time. And so she had met the conditions for the issuance of a indefinite resident permit status. That only allows you to live in the country without, and you could work in the country without a work permit. You could also enter the country without a visa. You must have intentions of staying permanently. But you also have to be subject to the laws of this country. Okay. So
and that is where she seems to have fallen short of the law, because information we have also gleaned is that she's been engaging in illegal mining for not a year, but more than a year. So that means she flouts that regulation of our laws that you must work legally. And in that regard, what is the charge you're going to be holding her for?
As we speak, we need to piece together the facts and get solid evidence. And but we have held on them for some time. We need to make sure we don't breach the constitutional provision of the 48-hour clause. So we've sent them to court today. I haven't heard yet the decision of the court regarding the remand. Our request is for a remand to keep them and continue with our investigations.
Okay. And so as we speak, what is the charge that you are?
There are so many things in play. 1, these Chinese nationals, 2 we know enter the country legally. Now the visas on which they enter this country does not allow them to work. It prohibits employment. If truly they were engaged by Aisha to work, then they have flouted the conditions for the visas. And for that reason, their stay in this country becomes illegal. Now, Aisha, on the other hand, if truly she claims she had engaged their services, must have a work permit for these individuals to do the things they were doing. So without a valid permit to reside and work, she has flouted those rules, and we call something illegal employment. So that is also one thing to look at. The other area is whether the services she's rendering to small-scale miners, as in renting
machinery,
excavators, which falls within the area of mine support services, whether that activity has been licensed, and whether her company that she claims she had registered with the husband has the mandate to conduct that kind of business. So it's not just GIS. We are looking at the immigration aspect of it, but I think that the Minerals Commission must be interested in looking at those other aspects. And I think all put together would build a strong prosecution.
Okay. So on your screens now is the lady in question, Madam Aisha N1, and she has also leveled, the shock for many was the fact that she said she had sex tapes of some big men in Ghana, and that was what she was using to blackmail them to get, because we were told she's so powerful that almost every time she's arrested, she has a way of getting people to release her. Has she cooperated with your outfit, and have you had any calls from people above you to release her?
I'll say so far she's cooperated with us. And the issue about information she has gathered which she can use to blackmail, that we don't know. It's none of our business, actually. Yes. But I can say that we haven't had any supposed powerful men or big men breathing down our necks to have her released or put on bail. No, we haven't had that. Okay. And in conclusion, what is the punishment probable in such a situation? Could it be just deportation, or should have to stand Ghana's laws and face our judicial system? When you are issued with a permit in this country, you also have an obligation to obey the laws of the country. And so, for instance, if it turns out that she's broken the law, as it were, her indefinite residence status could be revoked. Okay. She could also be sent to jail, because there's a provision in our law that could make you pay a fine or go to serve a term of imprisonment for up to 2 years. In Ghana? In Ghana. That's also there. For those who do not have permits, could be deported. Okay. And for the companies that engage the services of foreigners without going through the due process, could face a penalty. A penalty is slapped on them. Okay. So those are the various... When you deport people like this is not the first time. Yeah. When you deport them, how do you check to ensure that they do not return, and for how long can they stay away? Okay, when the person is deported, it means that you are supposed to be outside this country indefinitely. Okay. You can't come back to this country. And you are tagged as a prohibited immigrant. So your details are put in our systems. Okay. And the law mandates an immigration official who comes into contact with a prohibited immigrant to even arrest him without a warrant. Okay. And ensure that that person is removed from our jurisdiction. Okay, all right. Francis Pamdete, always a pleasure talking to you. Same here. Yes, he is the head of public relations for the Ghana Immigration Service, giving us an update on the development about some illegal Chinese galamseyers in the country. We'll follow the story keenly and keep you posted as well. This is still Midday Live on TV3.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the business news on Midday Live. My name is Kwesi Asare. Coming up, the newly appointed managing director of Intercity STC, Nana Komia, has promised to return the company back to profitability following years of underperformance. Speaking on Business Focus in his first interview, Nana Komia said his immediate priority will be to introduce new management practices to propel growth.
Moving forward, we need to move away from this mode of government buying as buses. And we pay over 6, 7 years, 8 years. And by the time you finish paying, the buses have run down. But you don't have enough money to replace the stock. And then so you have to wait till government buys you new buses again. And government gets tired that I bought you buses 7 years ago. Why am I going to buy you buses with taxpayers' monies again? So we're moving out of that model. We're going to operate a model where we would engage the private sector. So entrepreneurs with investment capital can invest in the buses. And we will partner them, leveraging our infrastructure, the terminals, the brand, the routes. We will leverage that in that partner.
And you think they are interested in that?
The interest has been overwhelming. And is it fortunately, STC itself in the last couple of years, 2 years or so, has come to realize that they need to move away from that model of government buying buses and engage the private sector.
You've got other private entities, private vehicle operators to contend with. You've got VIP, for instance, to compete with. How do you intend to, measure up to all these competition on the market?
Well, the competition should make us better, because we are also now going to operate along the same lines that the private transport sector has been operating. And fortunately for us, we have the name, we have the brand, and we have superior infrastructure. Our terminals, no private transport company has the kind of terminals that we have. It's now up to us to leverage this infrastructure. So we have an advantage. They had the advantage of operating along business/commercial lines. They don't have the infrastructure we have. Now we are also going to operate along business and commercial lines, and we have superior infrastructure. So we should give them a run for their money. We should be setting the pace for them. There are slow-hanging fruits that we can harvest.
In other news, a pressure group, Ghana Youth for Change and Development, is accusing the former management of Venture Capital Trust Fund of overseeing the disbursement of 32 million cedis as loans without recovery. The group insists that beneficiaries cannot be tracked because they do not exist.
According to figures presented by the current management of the Venture Capital Trust Fund to the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament in August 2016, over 18,260,984 cedis was disbursed to 205 companies between 2010 and 2015. The tenure for every loan was 12 months, which according to reports should have been paid by now. The outstanding balance still to be paid, principal and accrued interest inclusive, is over 32 million, reflecting a default rate of 92.81%. The group says it has discovered that majority of the loan documents were with several irregularities, such as fake applications, fake letterheads, fake signatures, and missing documents.
Some of the loans had been made to the relatives and spouses of the loan processing officers themselves using fake registration documents.
The group said in the course of recovering the loan repayment from defaulters, bullion financial advisors who have been contracted as agents to help in recovery of loans granted discovered non-existent phone contacts and company locations.
It was further discovered, among other things, that large loans had been granted to companies supposedly owned by Mr. Doku's driver, the husband of a loan processing officer with no document on file, and the senior staff of VCTF.
The group had threatened to go to court to reclaim all the monies.
In other news, the Electricity Company of Ghana says it cannot assure consumers of reliable electricity supply during heavy rains. According to the Public Relations Manager, Danny J. Labi, it has no control over third-party interferences in its distribution network and damage to power lines during storms.
There is growing anger about power cuts to various homes and businesses anytime it rains. This is despite the insistence of stakeholders in the power sector that Ghana has largely overcome generational challenges in the sector. According to the ECG, their distribution network is being compromised by third-party interferences.
There are trees and other objects that fall on the lines when there is a storm. When that happens, it exposes some of these third-party issues that may cause power outage.
Energy policy think tank Africa Center for Energy Policy says the constant power cuts anytime it rains means Ghana is incurring costs to generate electricity but can't sell. Deputy Executive Director of ASEP, Benjamin Boache, says the situation is compounding the power sector debt.
With a little wind, you see transformers going down. And that is even worse than having generation shortfall. That is why investment in ECG is so critical that it cannot wait any further.
Well, that's all for the business news on Midday Live. My name is Asiedu-Dartey. Up next is the very latest in the world of sports.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan? Super finish!
Being on top of the news has never been easy.
Expressed his condolences to the deceased and says the stadium will be closed down for renovation.
Professional crowd control by police officers, poor security management, and lack of compliance with safety measures at the stadium. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the death toll at Accra Stadium would have been worse if not for the vigilance, courage, and sense of dedication of our doctors, nurses, and health workers. The ministry is considering a possible closure of the Accra Sports Stadium for long overdue maintenance works. The stadium has been neglected for almost 9 years without maintenance. So we are considering a possible closure of this facility to ensure that we do proper maintenance work to protect life and property. We must be committed to ensuring that whatever happened May 9, 2001 never repeat itself.
But 16 years down the line after the tragic incident of the stadium disaster that hit the nation, my colleague Ofosu Labi was at the stadium and spoke to some members of the Chapter O Supporters Union. Let's take a listen.
16 years ago, right here on this stand, the tragic May 9 disaster happened here. The fans of football in Ghana would not want to remember.
May 9 is something that is a tragic event. A particular group like Chapter O, we lost a lot of guys, guys that are very strong, the guys that die for the chapter, they die for House of Folk. They did everything they can to make sure that House of Folk will get its success. I pray that may their soul rest in peace.
It was a very nice game and very good atmosphere before the game. When Kotoko scored the first goal, we equalized. Ishmaelado added the winning goal. We are sitting here, exactly here, having fun, singing our songs because we won the game. But then the Kotoko supporters are somewhere here. So they didn't understand why. So they start breaking chairs, throwing chairs on the pitch. So they start throwing the tear gas on us. As they start throwing the tear gas on us, but then everybody have to run for his life. Beginning, I find my foot on the ground. But as I'm struggling to go, then I start feeling like, no, I'm working on people. Before I realize there are people too on me. So in short, a lot of people lost their lives. I'm lucky to survive.
And now, in marking the May 9 disaster, Herbert Mensah, a witness of the tragic incident, shares his thoughts on the inability of the government and stakeholders to support families of victims. Dorabedu Champong has more.
It has been 16 years since Africa's biggest stadium disaster struck, but the pain for many remains raw. 127 football fans lost their lives that day at the Ohinijan Sports Stadium as a game between Hearts and Kotoko spilled over into the violence in the stands and later police overreaction. Since then, victims and families of those who lost their lives in the tragedy have always marked it with various activities, and this year has not been any different. There was a walk in Kumasi last week, a meeting with the Asantehene Otumfuo Setutu, and more activities planned in Accra. Former Asante Kotoko chairman Herbert Mensah, who witnessed the disaster at close range in 2001, has been at the forefront of the commemorations and says many of the victims and survivors have been let down badly.
You must now go and ask governments what they've done to protect the interests of the common man. Because it was the true heroes who died that day. The true heroes are not politicians. They are not heroes at all. The true heroes are the common man. They are the ones who died in the stadium. They are the ones whose houses we went to that some could not bury their dead, who were left on a plank, who cried and could not feed themselves. They are the true heroes, who when we say they've done nothing, they become offended and issue some kind of immature rhetoric to try and balance the impotence of their positions.
All right, so that's it with some of the stakeholders in Ghana football. But we're now going to be crossing over to Catherine Frimpong-Manson, who is going to be bringing us what do you think on the May 9 disaster.
127 people lost their lives to the May 9 stadium disaster here in Accra. May their souls rest in peace. But 16 years on, we ask, have we as a country learned any lessons and put in enough security measures at our stadia across the country to ensure that this disaster never occurs again and that the number of casualties may be minimal even if it occurs? What do you think?
Ever since the May 9th happened, we have not encountered it again. So for that matter, I think we have had a lot of the government that we have had previously. They have put in a lot of measures in place to remedy that issue. But besides that, too, I think they have to also intensify those mechanisms, because looking at the Accra Sports Stadium, you could see that the metals that they have used to, structure the stadium, most of them are rusted. So I think they have to renovate all these things so that at the end of the day, such issues wouldn't happen again.
Measures, I won't say yes, because we've not done much. As much as 16 years down the line, we've not experienced it, doesn't mean that we should forget about it. But as every year goes by and we commemorate the events, I think we should go and sleep over it and see what best we can do.
I haven't really seen anything that says that if there is a similar situation, we are going to have less of what happened during May 9th. But we really have to look at security when it comes to where you have a lot of mass mobs, groups of people, crowds. It's very important we also have emergency services, especially ambulance service and fire service. They need to be very well equipped.
Football administrator, coming from the GALCA perspective, I would say we have done very little to prevent an incident like the May 9th disaster. I would make reference to my fiancé's father, who on that day suffered from stroke and is on bed up to
happen. So we've been preaching and advocating that fans must learn to accept whatever results that comes into football.
All right, now we all know the Sule Ali Muntari incident that's been dragging over a week. FIFA President Gianni Infantino says he intends to talk to the man in the center of all their attention, the victim of racist abuse, Muntari, and work with him in the fight against racism. Muntari was booked for complaining about racist abuse during a match at Cagliari and subsequently suspended, although that sanction was later lifted. The Ghanaian then walked off the field in protest in the final minutes of the game. Infantino told reporters today that he intends to talk with Muntari and would give him FIFA's full solidarity. Let's bring an end to the bulletin right here. With me, Thierry Nyan, Martin Asiedu-Dartey stands by after this.
You need to know. Captivating. Credible and breaking news, all at your fingertips.
Who's found Asamoah Gyan? Super finish!
Being on top of the news has never been easy. Visit us at www.3news.com for all your reliable news. 3 News, news at your fingertips.